There we go. And I have sent Krebs and Lansing's bill to everybody.
Okay. All right,
And me too.
Yes.
Okay, call the North Station Building Replacement Committee meeting to order, September 10th at 5:18. Any adjustments to the agenda? Any public comment? Approved minutes of August 13th, 2025. Take a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 13th.
Motion by Tracy.
I guess I should say second them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. You? All right, discussion and action. Go ahead, Don.
Okay, I don't know if everybody read the report. I do the report looking back about what's happened and then ahead, but I think overall, our project timeline is on track. I expected we would be a little earlier with an estimate and with a budget update, but we're still in a pretty good place. We are at what we call 75% level of drawings. Those are the drawings that we reviewed with you with Carl, the architect and the engineer on the 19th. And we made, frankly, they were fairly minor adjustments. So we had a few things that we changed, but we're at the stage now where there does not appear to be any significant additional changes that would be needed either in the fire station, in the public works building, or on the site. We think we know what we're going to build, which is good. It's not always the case. You can get pretty far along in a project and still have major questions, especially if people have different views on things. But we seem to be pretty settled in on what we're going to do, which I think is great. Hats off to both Mike and to Tracy for Carl thinking these things through and then coming back and getting their ideas expressed, giving us time to change. So Carl, you're at 75%. We reviewed those on the 19th. The 21st, we had our public meeting. I think everybody was there except Corinne. The public meeting I thought went pretty well. We had counting the number of people who had to be here, which was about 8 or 10. We had 35 people here, which I thought wasn't bad. Lisa ran the quite exceptional PowerPoint presentation that she put together. We went through all that. We fielded questions. There was some grousing. There were some people who suggested that we don't do the project or not don't do it, but do it later or build a fire station and leave the other building as is. Just what you would expect to hear. We had people who asked some pretty pointed questions about why things were done in the building certain ways, why it was costing as much as it did, the buildings. And I think we answered those reasonably well. I felt like the meeting overall was, I think we've done a good job throughout this of making sure that people understand what it is that we're trying to do. I think we've been incredibly transparent, straightforward, just telling people this is what we're trying to get done. So that is really what we have up to date. As two asides, we worked on a vote sign. I'm sorry, we worked on getting the latest mailer out, the vote mailer, which went out the end of last week, which I thought was that was really done almost entirely by Lisa. And that got out, I think. That was great. And we have a sign up in the front of the building that is encouraging people to vote. And so I think we've done what we can to get the information out. I have not had a single phone call or email about the project, which I find hard to believe.
Still not a lot of talk in the town office either.
So
What people are voting.
and
We're up to like 55 absentees, which for a special election, pretty good. Oh, yeah.
that's great.
Mhm.
One of the things that Lisa said was that Todd had a lot of feedback from people about the project, thinking that the project was a good idea, but not wanting to have a 20-year bond, wanting a 30-year bond. So we don't know how that will impact how people will vote. Because obviously but the ballot does not say this is for a 20-year bond vote. So hopefully we'll get some people who come Monday if they really want to express their concern about a 30-year bond instead of 20, they'll show up and go, we don't want this. And the select board can take note of that. And if they deem it to be correct, that they can change that.
Yeah.
I don't think that changes much, if anything else. So
Oh, no, if that's why they voted no, though.
this was a lengthy discussion
Yeah, so
yesterday.
Can you?
well, after, so you really,
Maybe.
you wanna wait until you kind of know which direction it goes, and then you begin the public engagement process. And public engagement is always an issue with a government entity, especially in a situation like this where you would want a fairly quick turnaround in order to stay within the statutory timelines for a revote. But there are methods, and you know, it relies on people telling us. Yeah,
Gossip.
So the word, the wording for the language on the ballot, does it say 20-year?
no,
So if it's approved, the select board could go 10, 20, 30 year.
definitely.
They could. They could. If it is not approved and we find out that people have objected, the major reason people have objected is the length of the bond vote, then we have a plan B to go back out with that information as quickly as possible to revote. And would we say on a revote that it will be a 30-year bond or?
I would not, if that were the reason we were revoting and everything else stayed the same. With a bond vote, you have to meet certain legal parameters. So in order, because the bond council, when you go to bond, they need a letter from a lawyer that says everything meets statutory requirements. So everything we're doing around the election is just fed to us from a bond lawyer. So we're not actually, as a town, writing the wording of what's on the ballot, which is a little unusual for us. So I don't think the ballot would change. And I don't think we have that kind of control. So what we would want to do, again, this comes back to public participation and how we communicate. I think we've done an exemplary job, and I think that if we were to make a decision like that, okay, we really think unequivocally this failed because people want a 30-year, then we just have to communicate to people, we're gonna do a 30-year. This is gonna look exactly the same. Please come back out and support us again. And there are mailers, and there's the Islander, and there's Front Porch Forum, and there's word of mouth, and the timing would make it more critical that all of those things happen at once, I guess.
Right, so we'll, so really Plan B is we're gonna have to sit down, figure this out quickly and decide a course of action. But that's,
Yeah.
I don't think that's,
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of communication that goes on between the townspeople and the committee, so to speak.
no, there hasn't.
That's one big complaint I've heard throughout town. It's like, well, we didn't know anything about it. Even though this project has been going on since what, 2017?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when it was all initially
We certainly have,
7, 8 years, right? Who comes up to the meetings?
Right.
In the last 2 years that I've been involved, there hasn't been anybody stepping in. So,
that's, that, I think we can, unless there's anything else we need to talk about with that, I mean, that obviously is coming very quickly. Let me give you a couple other things that are going to happen this month. The architect did give me what are called
wait.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Moving on from that, the only other thing I would say is that we've been having a lot of these internal discussions over what to do if the bond vote fails. As far as I know, none of these discussions have transferred to the select board. And they're the ones who have to actually take action.
yeah.
So someone may want to say, you know, we have ideas of what to do if this fails. Number one would be they should have a special meeting like as soon as possible. I mean, all these things have to be warned.
Should you undertake that activity or should I do that?
I mean, I can, I'm not, I mean, so, yeah,
I think, I see, yeah, I think it just fails. I mean, we and the select board, we call a special meeting 24 hours. Correct? When it would just see how it pans out.
Yeah.
It'd be on the select board
We're
agenda.
so close at this point.
Discuss.
it's just, yeah, that's a
Plan
good
B.
idea. Yep.
All right,
Put it on
so,
the agenda for Monday so that the select board can say, you know, if it does fail.
Maybe they could even like have a day in their calendar they've all set aside.
that we
okay,
could
are you
put-
going to work on the Plan B? All right. I have to talk to Carl about a couple other things. The note that I sent him, I will copy to the both of you, just some general information about sort of what I'm thinking about. So I'll make sure you guys get copied on that. Mike, I'll copy you too. The Tuesday, yesterday, or actually Monday, the drillers are guys who were hired, Seaboard Drilling showed up to drill holes. And we are going to have, we're going to have a contest now among the 5 of us right here. And you have to guess the average depth at which they hit ledge. They drilled 4 holes. He's already guessed. I have his guess. So Tracy, I know what his was. Marie?
15 feet.
Marie says 15.
I was gonna say 10.
Lisa says 10, and Corinne says
14?
says 14, and Mike says.
I was hoping for oil.
You know, there used to be all those, do you have an oil lease? We were talking about this.
Yeah.
The Cambrian people
Yeah.
all over the place, they can't be,
Yeah.
anyways, what's your guess?
15, 20, I guess,
What did Tracy guess? Are we there watching? So you know.
We're there, we're going to,
I was there.
Tracy guessed 8 feet.
8?
Yep, the first hole they drilled, which is about where the back left-hand corner of the building is, as you face the new fire department, they hit ledge at 13 feet. The second hole they drilled, which was in the right-hand corner, they hit ledge at 9 feet. The third one they drilled, they actually drilled right up next to where it's on the piece of land where the Public Works building is going to be. They hit ledge at 7.5 feet. And when they went to the front of the building, which is 100 feet off the road, and about 260 feet from the edge of the existing Public Works building, we assumed that they would probably, this is the hole that the engineer asked to go 100 feet. 5.5 feet to hit ledge.
Yeah.
I'll drill there.
So,
So what does that
They still
mean?
go 100 feet?
oh no.
Yeah.
So
they
what
don't.
they,
Oh.
what they do then, so they drill, the way boring works is they drill to what's called refusal. When they can't make when they can't get their drilling rig and their collecting apparatus, which is called a spoon, to collect any more material, they stop. And that's as far as they go. So they, we have what's called glacial till. Over all the top, there's some clay, but there's almost no clay. Most of it is actually what's called glacial till. So we've got good soils to build on. We should not have ledge in the way it's possible we could get a little ledge, but the first few feet of the ledge that they ran into, the first couple of feet, which they ended up digging through at the shortest distance of 5.5 feet, is fractured ledge. So it's all broke. You guys know exactly what this looks like. You dig a hole anywhere,
Yeah.
you get dirt, and you get a little bit of the ledge material, shale, and you get a little further, and then it gets hard, and then all of a sudden you're really in it. It's not that it's really hard, but that's what they found. So all good news.
So was the average a 10?
I think the average was actually closer to 8.
Huh.
So Tracy got it on the first one, but nobody was off much. Somebody told me this tape, they're very deep. Okay, we'll go on from there.
Ain't no ledge very deep around here.
usually there's not.
So
Lucky you got topsoil.
we have, yes, yeah, I have a foot of topsoil at my house, and that's it. So the MEP, they've drilled the MEP narratives, which are mechanical and plumbing is a narrative that we've chosen this as an approach to get our, rather than having a fully designed system, we decided to save money and get in what we call a mechanical narrative done. That mechanical narrative has been finished. It has been looked at, by both Stewart Construction's estimator, who supplied us with the estimate, by a couple of people in the business, and by Steve Shaw, who is a mechanical engineer, who is a part-time resident of North Hero. So we've had several people look at that. The electrical, the electrical narrative, Tracy's going to look at, but he wasn't able to open it I'm getting a hard copy for him to look at. And that's also been looked at by some people in the business, along with our estimator, and the numbers that we now have in the estimate, we think are pretty good. So we have good, solid, but simple mechanical and electrical systems. There will be a 400 amp service in planning for the fire department, and a 200 amp service we're planning now for the public works department. We don't think we need a bigger service than that, which saves us a little money. We also came to the determination that the power pole that is there will stay there. So the generator will actually will probably set fairly close to the power pole. So that's an adjustment we have to make that on the drawings, but it's not a big deal because the generator is supplied as a separate budget item. It's not part of the bid. All right. So third mailer has gone out. Monday, we have our select board meeting. 9/16 is the bond vote, and either we're gonna party or all go to Guyana and drink Kool-Aid with Jim Jones, one or the other.
Either way, we're getting a nice drink.
And they told me I could not put up a sign out in front that said vote or burn. They said I could not.
Well, you could do vote or burn. You just can't do vote yes and or burn.
I could.
Ooh.
So. No message there. Vote or we don't plow your road. So that's all I have on this. That takes us through what I worked on last month and what we're planning on for this month.
So you cover in your update, the drawings. Any update on permits?
Have nothing of permits yet.
Okay.
We will not do permits until we have a contractor on board.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mike, let me back up on that. Fair question. You're actually not asking about building permits. You're asking about permits
Correct.
that need to be acquired. Scott Homestead told me he is prepared to submit on the permits, but you know what? I'm gonna follow up with him.
On the AOT one?
Yep.
Yep.
I will follow up tomorrow on that. All right,
It's, next item is the building project estimate.
you have a copy of it in hand. So this estimate was done by Alex Smith, who lives in North Europe. Alex is an employee of Stewart Construction, but he did this as a private citizen. And part of my pricing to the town for my work as the project director included the cost of the estimate. So this is a paid estimate. This is it's not me doing an estimate. This is a professional estimator. He did part of it. The other part of the estimate was done by John Bolak Excavating. I think pretty much everybody knows. John and I worked together for 25 years. So he did the civil work. So what I asked Alex to do was, I said, don't tighten the screws on this at this stage. You have good 75% drawings. He finished this estimate with the MEP narratives in hand. So we have a good solid 75% scope of the project. The civil work is past 75%. The civil work is probably closer to 85 or 90%. It's nearly done. All that is on the plans. All those plans were given to John Bolak and to Alex. They worked up estimates. The fruit of their work is here. John Bolak's estimate is in here, but I asked, Alex made a number of assumptions, one of them being he thought the job could be done faster than I think it's going to get done. So I asked him to add in some more weeks so that we really fill up the space from the beginning of the middle of March until the middle or end of November. I asked him to fill up that whole time. He thinks it could be done shorter, but I don't want to be overly optimistic at this point. You need to be as realistic as possible. So this estimate covers, this is exactly, if Alex was doing an estimate for Stewart Construction to bid a project, this is exactly what it would look like. Line by line. So he goes through, he looks at all the things that are called general conditions. General conditions are things that are, in a sense, burned up on the job. They don't leave behind anything. So what you leave behind when you do a project is you leave the civil work and the buildings. That's what's left behind. What you don't leave behind is all the work that it took for the company to get those things done. So the site superintendent, the project manager, the assistant project manager, any insurances you have to cover, the temporary fencing, equipment that you have to use to erect the building or to put siding on, all those things are accounted for in here.
Temporary toilets.
Temporary toilets, right? You got a temporary toilets.
But
So those are all accounted for. And did you know that temporary toilets, you're supposed to have one for every 10 people working on a job?
You did not.
There you go. Well, there's a
So
new-
there's gotta be some way to qualify that.
Yes, there
This
is.
cost, those are 6
Hmm.
decimal points. So this is, when I first looked at that, I thought it was common. I was like,
Okay, I should tell you how this works. So if you look at the very first line item. Actually, he changed this back to 36 weeks. That's okay. That's all right. It's not a big deal. You'll see, sites, if you look at bid item, it says 1043 site superintendent. He's got him in at 36 weeks, 4,600, the cost of $4,500 a week. His extended cost is $162,000. That's the actual cost, and the extended price all the way on the right, that's including the markup of the contractor, which he figured at 10% right down the line. So that's how these move. You have the item, you have the unit that's being used, and the quantity, the total cost of the cost, and then the cost per unit, then the extended cost, then the price. I do not expect, intend, or think there's any value in turning an estimate like this over to the public. I don't think it really helps them understand anything. More often than not, it would raise questions. But what I would like to say is, since you're just seeing it for the first time, some of you are seeing it for the first time, look it over. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. All right, so this is not a closed book after today. Purpose of an estimate at this point is to see, are we tracking in the right direction? Have we got an incredibly huge gap that we have to go back and start taking the job apart and trying to make it costless? That happens more often than not. Did not happen here. We're actually under what our budget is, original budget was. So if you look on the second page, it should say page 2. You'll see there's at the top line, there's a performance and payment bond. So the performance and payment bond is the guarantee of the contractor to the municipality that the job will be completed for the dollar value that they bid. So where this comes into play generally is if for some reason your contractor goes out of business during the project. The town is not holding you back. The town has an insurance company that will come in and finish the job for the price that was originally given. I'm sure you have a performance and payment bond on the water project.
Mhm.
I mean, you always do on municipal
Mhm.
projects, so that's included here. Just below that, you'll see building excavation. This was the number from John Bolak that included all of the civil work, all of the paving, all of the building demolition, all of this, all of the digging, all of the water, all of these parts and pieces. So John has not supplied me with a line item bid on this yet, number on this, but John's numbers are accurate. He does a really good job estimating, so I'm confident that this number will be good. Plus, it's also an encouragement for him to actually bid on the job, and he'd be a great contractor to have on the job. Though there will be other ones from the area who will also bid. Under exterior improvements, there's a landscaping subcontractor. I've left this as a little bit of an open item. We have to sort out a little more about exactly what was promised to the folks who live next door. To me, it's pretty well screened. But they aren't happy with the screening, so I've got money in here so we can do some additional screening as needed. Some fencing in here, and then if you look on the next item down, it says allowances and contingencies. The design contingency is in the budget. It's not the contingency we as the owner carry. This is a design contingency because he doesn't have complete drawings. And he can't know how interested people are going to be in this job when it comes time to bid. So he doesn't know what else the architect is going to add in that he might not be on the 75% drawings. So we always, when we do a 75%, there's always a design contingency. It's considered to be part of the job, all right? I'm not gonna go for the rest of this. It would bore you to tears. But each building is priced up individually. The one thing that we don't know about is there is going to be some discussion about whether or not we can do the trench drains the way I'd like to do them, which means they don't have an oil water separator. You don't have a tank. The drains are just dry drains. But we don't know if we can do that. So there, that may cause the price to go up some, but again, that's why you have the design contingency. Is so that you have money in here for things that you didn't include, but might have to include. All right. So, the only, Mike, this is a question for you. The only item I have in here that has come from you is the air vac exhaust systems.
Correct.
That's the only thing that's actually a contractor item
Yes.
that's going to be included. I'm sorry, that's not true. It's the only thing that could, the air vac system deals as our project's ability to remove fumes out of the building when the vehicles are running.
Right.
So that, we also put it in the public works bill, so it's in both the buildings. So it's in there. The other thing, there is some, that we need to be sure that we have nailed down exactly what you want the contractors to do as far as electrical cabling and things like that for any antennas or anything like
I
that.
think, my discussion with Matt, I think he is, in his narrative, is making those
He
provisions.
definitely has information in there
Yes.
about this. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll let that play out.
Right down to the air wheels and for the electrical cords that charge and keep the vehicle brakes up.
Okay, I will follow up with that. I'm still waiting. Like Tracy, I didn't have the ability to expand these drawings that I got from him, these MEP drawings. So that, we'll be working on that. The good news is we have about 6 weeks before that has to be done and ready. So this is all priced through, and the town garage starts on page 5. Basically the exact same parts and pieces, just in different quantities and sizes, and you get to the last page. And you get a phase totals, bid totals, grand total. We're just under $4 million, which is good, because our budget here actually shows us at about $4.3 million. So this budget that we'll talk about, the town budget that, I mean, the revised budget that I done is actually a little bit of an overshot. We're a little higher than we actually, than I think we really are, but I don't think that's a bad thing to be. It doesn't alter for a second the amount of money that we're gonna borrow to do the project. It just doesn't affect it at all. We're going to go out to borrow the money that we have indicated, and we'll use as much as we need to.
So the grand total on page 8. Right, both one and done. Both buildings.
Okay, that's it, all in. So what Alex is saying is, he's telling us we should get a bid for around $4 million. Right in that neighborhood. Might be a little low. It depends on a few things, but he thinks that will be a competitive number. The other thing he can't factor on is what things are going to happen if the tariff world goes nuts and things we're buying from Canada all of a sudden spike 25, 30, 40%, that's gonna impact this. Can't do anything about that, and we don't know. So, but again, we have design contingency money to deal with that if those things come up. So we think this is a pretty solid number. All right? So there is our professionally done estimate for you to look at. Again, I don't intend to make this public. I think this is a document for us here in the building committee.
Reviewing this reminds me of something that Tracy and I have talked about a few times. We recently had a VOSHA inspection. And we had a debriefing summary with a Vermont League of Cities and Towns Loss Control Consultant. And and he came and he saw the drawings and he asked about the new building and he said, you know, you really want to make sure that whatever your plans are. He said, well, I mean, any good architect should make sure what goes in is OSHA compliant, but he's seen a lot of people fall down with how those elements that are added interact with use.
With
and
youth,
use, how you use it.
with youth.
Humans, that's always the issue, is humans. His example was a mezzanine. He says if your mezzanine has opening doors so that you can take a forklift and add, you technically need to have a harness available. He said that's one of the top things that they actually cite people for. And his recommendation was not to have doors like that. I mean, the fire department,
We have no doors.
You saw us at plan.
they're on the plans. But again, that was just his example. I don't know how you do that, like how
I
you,
know exactly how we'll do this. This
Okay.
is a great thing. What we'll do is we'll get the OSHA guy to come to our site when the project is moving towards completion. And we'll ask him to basically do a preliminary look at all the project and note anything that he thinks might be an issue.
and because the loss consultant guy said he's seen people spend up to 40 grand retrofitting.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something, and he said it's much easier to do it in advance. So like, if you know you're never gonna use a forklift to put something on a mezzanine, just don't have the gates.
Right,
Like, or don't have a ladder. He's like, stairs are the best, you know, and that was, but he didn't wanna like go through each, we didn't have those floor plans. That was just an example.
it's a great
So-
point. And obviously, when you have a facility like the Public Works, or you have a facility like the fire department, there's a lot of special use stuff, a lot of it. And it needs to be OSHA compliant. So I think it would be good for all of us. The other thing is when you ask OSHA to come in and look at things, they are very appreciative of the fact that you have asked them. And they will, and even if you have gross violations, they will not cite you. They will tell you this is your violation. You have to fix it, but they won't fine you immediately. So getting VOSHA in,
That due to the invite, not just.
Yes,
showing up on their own.
right,
docket.
exactly. And it's something that we did for years. We just would ask them to come in and look. We invite them to our job sites and say, are we compliant? Because if they show up and you're not compliant, the lowest fine you got was $5,000.
Yep.
And that happened more than once. And you don't want it. So we'll get them here on the site. We'll ask them to come. And then we'll ask them to come over getting near the end to talk about functional stuff. We'll get on top of that. That's a great idea.
Great.
Good. I did notice that Alex he apparently changed back the site superintendent's weeks. He had gone up to 42 weeks, so this will go back up a little bit, but again, we're in good shape. Right now, today. If we could finish the building today, we'd be in great shape. Not gonna happen.
Get started tomorrow.
No, we have to finish tomorrow.
Oh,
So then the other thing I have here is I have a budget. This is a revision of the budget that you have seen. Listen, I worked on this. There are no major changes, but what we've been able to do as we've moved along, we've been able to begin to solidify costs that were being guessed at. So we've been able to do that. So our price has gone down a little bit. I think our original budget was about 5.2. And actually, if you were to go up and add up the numbers for the cost of the construction of the building and then look at the estimate, this shows a higher cost for the building than the estimate does. I hadn't changed that yet. So again, I think this budget is we're probably a little over where we actually are. I tell you what, the other thing I need to do is let's amend this for let me do one more go over this so that for Monday, we'll have even a more accurate budget. It'll be a little lower. But I'm honestly, I'm pleased that we have not encountered any, up to this point, any unusual costs or unanticipated costs. We've, again, the good news is the project's been thought about for a long time. That helps a lot. People knew what they wanted. Original drawings that Coneco did reasonably showed what the job was going to be. We have a civil engineer who wasn't starting from scratch. He had been working for the town before. We haven't, we haven't had any of our users come back and say, we have to have a major update, we need something more than what's on the drawing. So that's been good. And I think I am confident that this budget will stand up, which is one of the reasons why, when you get to this stage, you want to be careful about squeezing money out and telling people, and then it goes back up, people go, well, you didn't know what you're talking about. So let me rephrase that. I want to think a little bit more about whether or not we want to make this go any lower. We might not. So,
Under promise and over deliver.
yeah. First rule of sales. But we've got money in here for, our pre-construction costs are called out. These are fairly unchanged from before. Our cost of construction shows a little higher than it was. We've kept a contingency in here, though we have lowered it a little bit. We got about a 7.5% contingency. We've got, the project management fees. The project management fees are things that will happen while the building's under construction. And we have pre-construction, then we have under construction. Pre-construction really goes all the way to the 15th of March. And then after the 15th of March, we're in construction, and then these project management fees begin to kick in. So these are the costs of us representing the architect and the civil engineer and the structural engineer and and me and the owner, me and whoever the clerk of the works is going to be, us all representing the town during the construction, which is where you really have that. I mean, that's the place where if numbers are gonna go off track, that is sometimes where they will happen. You'll have an estimate. I mean, you'll have a fixed bid, but then the contractor comes back and goes, you didn't. Extras, yeah, you didn't have this in the price, and it's gonna cost you X number of dollars to do that. The good news is that I'm working in this job, and I'm not good at giving people money that they don't really deserve. If they deserve it, if it's a viable extra, we'll look for the least expensive way to do it. But it's not gonna be because they're whining and they don't think they should be making more money. That won't happen. Said what you're gonna do, gave us a bid, it's a fixed number. You gave us a bond, that's what you're gonna do it for. That's what you do. So, additional costs not yet identified. So this is where our, some of our things that we've set aside money in the budget. We don't know exactly how it's gonna be paid for. We've got the generator, the comm systems, building security. And then we have FF&E for that. The first FF&E number is for the fire department. The second FF&E number is for the town garage.
What's FF&E?
Sorry, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, FF&E.
Tracy and I were looking at desks today. We can get them for like $200, right, Tracy? Yeah.
We have a budget that will allow us to not buy junk.
What was that right out the door?
Taking the public works trailer down to the Waterbury surplus store.
The right way to do this is that Tracy's thinking about the next guy, and I know Mike's thinking about the next guy. It's gonna be happening with this fire department and with this public works building in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Let's get it as right as we can. That's why we put the money in here, is so we can get it as right as we can. Will it be perfect? No. We're gonna make mistakes? Yes. But let's get it as right as we can and do something that we can be proud of, not only now when we got it done and got it agreed upon, but then when it's built and when it's been operating, that we've operated, we know we've got the right operation going. That's how I look at this kind of stuff. So, and that is that, so I am gonna make it to this wasn't.
I'm here on Monday.
Oh,
Excellent, thank you, Don.
Yeah, I am not in town. I don't get back into town until 5 o'clock on Monday. But I'll be here for the meeting. Short of American Airlines doing what they occasionally do, which is goofing things up.
well,
What's our plan B for that?
That's
You're
what I have
not
to talk to Carl about.
Okay,
There'll be a plan B for that.
okay.
as long as you're here by 7.
Yeah,
Do we need an escort from the airport to here? I can arrange that.
I want a fire department. That's cool.
Come up in a fire truck.
Burlington all
Or
over.
an ambulance.
The problem is that I set up this, my best friend is my age, has gotten remarried at 72. And they set up this long before this thing was set up for us setting up our thing. So I'm leaving Friday and don't get back to Monday. I am due back in at 5 o'clock on the dot. I should be here without any problems, but I will keep Carl informed so he knows what's going on. If need be, really what it comes down to is it might be somebody else has to basically read the PowerPoint presentation, but that's what I did. I read, 85% of what I said was being read.
Yeah.
And I will check with Matt to see if Matt wants to attend. He's not required, but he may want to attend.
I know he was definitely an asset during the.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the only change made to the presentation is an additional slide. Pointing everybody to the website where all the information can be found.
Right.
That's all we did.
And we
It's the
should
exact
we
presentation.
should put the budget up on the as a line item, even though the idea is we're gonna have one of these to hand to everybody.
Do you want a slide of the budget?
I do.
Okay.
With the budget all broken down.
This one, not the estimate, the budget. No, I would not, like I said, that estimates just people get,
Page 3,
Right.
line 4.
Well, why is the siding so expensive? So,
All right, so thank you. Other continuing topics as needed. Local power requirements, I think we touched on that, right?
yes, this actually represents Velco's cost going down a little.
Good.
Because we will not need, they're not gonna move the pole. So we may not, I've showed Velco's numbers going down a little. It was actually Velco's suggestion to leave the pole there. Okay. So,
And then updates on grants and fundraising. It's just kind of. We'll see what happens with the grants, fundraising. Pretty much is where we're at with that,
can I ask, this person who came into the office who said they were going to match our donations? Did they have a cap on how much they said they would?
25,000.
We're at 25,000. Can we get that person to go ahead and contribute?
I reached out, I sent him an email, and I did not get a response back from him.
This person was hoping for some type of a campaign, like he came in and specifically requested that ads go out in the Islander saying that he was willing to match. And he's hoping that his funds will spur further donation.
It was a. My takeaway from that was he would match a single donor, is that correct?
That was not my take. I think, we asked him that specifically and he said, sure, but you could tell that wasn't his original. Maybe I should forward you all. I got an email the other day and it was a nonprofit soliciting a similar thing. Trying to get lots of people to give little amounts, knowing that their amount would be matched up to 25,000. And this is what I strongly feel like he's trying to get going.
Mike, I think once we turn the corner and we know either we're starting over again for another budget vote, or we've passed our budget, I think you and me and the funds people need to sit down and talk about how we're gonna fundraise from now, from that point until the building starts.
My thoughts on that. Regardless of the passing or defeat of the bond. The fundraising was still going to continue as well as grant opportunities,
100%.
so.
I think we need to, let's strategize how we're gonna do that. We basically have, we will have about 6 months. And I think we need to continue to, I think our batting average is a little low. It's the way I think about this. We haven't had as many hits as I thought we would.
Yeah,
As I-
well, we had a short window,
We did.
very short window.
Now we have a longer window.
Yes,
And now we can sort of retool and say, okay, we know that we have this and we'll go from there. By the way, in that estimate, building estimate, was a kitchen. So the kitchen and the hood is all in there.
so. Okay, what else we got? Invoices. You have a list, do you have them all compiled via email now?
Yes.
So I have a couple, but I think you probably have all of it now, right?
Marie sent them to me. So we have Krebs and Lansing for $5,105. Oh. Yes, that's all there is. So we have Krebs and Lansing for 5,105. I don't have Don's. We have Don's for,
Anybody?
I think it was 2,000.
I think you sent that out with the original.
I have it.
Oh, you do?
August 31st, 2025, 2,000.
Next month will be higher. Because of the estimate. Just so you know.
we have the two paw print.
Correct. $160 and $871.12.
What are they again, Mike?
Printing,
Yeah, but what is the amount?
$160.
Yeah.
And $871.12.
And the company is
Conference,
Paw Prints, okay. Oh,
and you have the AES one?
Yes, you have that one.
No, it's like $21,568.26.
And what about the drilling? We don't pay off that quote estimate. We're gonna get an actual
We'll
invoice.
get an invoice.
Okay, all right.
That invoice will come sometime next 2 weeks.
Okay,
And
568.26.
anything else for? Invoices?
You will, just so you know, the billings for AES. The structure, which includes the structural engineer and Krebs and Lansing. When they get to the bid documents, which our goal is somewhere around November 1st. They will have completed their pre-construction work, except for a small portion that they do after the bid is done to review things that come in between the bid, the choice of a contractor and the start of construction. So there's a lot of money still going out to AES that in the next couple of months. Same thing with, not so much with Krebs and Lansing, but AES hasn't billed more than I think maybe $40,000 total, or and I think they're at or something like that. Only point is.
14,000.
How much?
14,000.
So you're gonna see some really big bills in the next couple of months.
Because what you have 112 here in the budget.
112 for that, and then I don't know. if that-
It's 13.
Yeah, 112 and. Cost of design, they'll charge for the cost of the design narratives. These are all things that are coming.
Okay.
All right, so I need a motion to grant the approval for the select board to pay the bills as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second the motion.
all in favor? Aye. Great. Anything else before we adjourn?
Under agenda building, I've been thinking about the Plan B for the bond vote and having that on the select board agenda. Do we want to look at the calendar? I did not bring my laptop and see if there's an open night for the meeting room that week. That maybe you all could put in your calendar, and I could strongly suggest the select board do as well on Monday.
So. Shoreline Committee meets on Wednesday. Community Hall Committee meets at 4 o'clock on Thursday, but they'll be done by 5.
So we could do a meeting at 6 o'clock on Thursday.
This Thursday?
No,
the
next
18th.
Thursday. And this would be,
18th.
After the.
like, we're not scheduling this. We're saying that would be an ideal time to have a special meeting if the bond does not pass. So if you all could,
Till the reads, right?
September
18th,
September 18th, 6 PM
says rescheduled community hall advisory committee
at
That's at
4.
4.
at 4. Okay,
We could do, they'll be done by 6.
Yeah,
so I might give this point for a 24-hour warning for emergency.
Yep.
Okay, well. And if it flies, then we don't have to.
exactly. Good. So, yeah. Exactly.
The agenda building piece, I don't know what else you want to add, but we need to deal with the budget for next year. Lisa or Corinne sent out the letter saying we should consider the development of next year's budget.
Mm. Now that there's a building that needs to be in the budget.
Good point, Marie.
Did you just send that out like
So-
within the week?
So that would be.
Well,
Did I?
it was while I was on
Yeah.
vacation, but there was a.
Yeah,
So if the buildings, actually, if the buildings go up, it's gonna be. Select board that develops the budget.
I think they meant the budget for this committee. Right?
Well, if the buildings go up, this committee's done.
I would assume so, right?
Well, yeah, once the buildings are done, we're done.
Somebody has to do the facility management for those 2 buildings. That's why they created a committee for this building.
Yes, and, well, he would be the steward of his building.
Not necessarily, it's not in his job description. It's not in my job description to keep this building up. There's nobody in North Hero that does facilities management. So I guess that's a question for the select board. Do they want, I think Carl's planning on putting a committee together.
and I'm working on a capital plan to maintain them.
Historically,
Historically, they've sunk into the ground and
thank you very much. Glad you said that.
Same thing. same thing with this building, same thing with that building, like, you know, and the reason the other buildings haven't is because they had boards that oversaw them, like the burden that's put on a local select board. When you really think of the scope of what they're supposed to encompass, and what do we have, 6 buildings, like. You know, what they do is compile and review. If they want to take on the overseeing of that, they sure can, but it hasn't worked in the past.
No, and I look at South Heroes and Grand Isles, you know, budgets for their. Building costs, maintenance, you know, the Wi-Fi, the phone, all of that. And it's in both cases, it's exorbitant, you know, I'll use the Wi-Fi, for example. One of the buildings, it was $6,000 a year.
Well, exactly. So this is why it doesn't necessarily work to have the select board compiling these numbers, because they don't use the buildings.
Correct.
So you have Parks and Rec, and you have library, you have the community hall trustees. They're all very involved and integrated to how these buildings are used. And Carl has watched that, and he wants to see the same thing emulated for these new buildings that we want to protect the investment of.
Should there not be one, we're not a big community, shouldn't there just be one board that does all of these?
In most towns, that's a town administrator.
let me not rephrase that. Let's say,
Or the, yeah,
we should have a board.
A committee that oversees it.
A committee that oversees all of these buildings, because
That's,
this building does now belong to the town.
yep,
Okay, so we have one town with 6 buildings. You can't do it, not your job, no way. But there shouldn't be enough, there shouldn't be too much for one committee to handle all 6 of those.
that's a, yeah, I mean, we're always getting people come in the town office every time that the boards turn over Parks and Rec, or we do this, like, well, yeah. I mean, right, the way we have it right now, you know, Parks and Rec has a volunteer that inspects all their fire extinguishers and same, you know, down to the nitty gritty of it. These volunteers are doing all of that work.
So, I'll use for the fire extinguishers, for example, fire stations and the trucks have extinguishers, so we manage those, we manage that and we pay those costs. Home station. Fire department's doing maintenance and the upkeep on it for a very long time, right down to the new electrical services. And the doors and whatnot.
Right, but
I forgot about Oman Station. We have 7.
the Owen building is owned by the town.
Well,
Is it-
that's gray area.
Okay, so it's great.
Yes.
But for all practical purposes, it's owned by the town.
Yes.
To me, it would seem like we should have one committee that oversees all 7 of our buildings. And I don't think it'd be onerous. I think it would be, well, then the other thing is you could have one pot of money to deal with all of these. And then they could appeal to the select board and then they would have some, range of ability to spend that money. But it seems to me that would be within the realm of possibility. Because the other thing you're gonna find out about these buildings is something, we're gonna be in these buildings for 6 months or a year, and we're gonna go,
Yeah.
I just had a bright idea. Something isn't working as well as it could. If we spend $12,000, it'll be perfect. We're gonna have one of those. Just we are. You're gonna find something that, or we're going to find out that our whole septic system idea isn't functioning as well as we thought. It's the kind of stuff that happens. We have a septic tank that's way out there. It's 1.5 miles away from where the building is. We're pumping to it. Who knows? That's always a little bit of a fraud situation. So all I'm saying is there are going to be things that are going to come up in that first year in both those buildings where we may need to think further about how to make the buildings even more functional once we're in and we're driving them.
I nominate you chair.
Is there some type of contingency fund for that? Or just whatever left
I
over?
think this is the whole point. We need to think about that.
There's something
Yeah.
fixed into the project cost for that?
No, not
After the
normally,
fact, Monies,
not under normal circumstances.
just to build it, construct it and.
And then, in a sense, then that's the end of my responsibilities is I've gotten us through the buildings built.
Didn't the CIP plan have a maintenance set forth on these new buildings? With a dollar amount?
We didn't have a dollar amount, but we've talked about it. So I've talked about it with Claire. So if we do a level principal,
I thought the committee they had thrown just
well, we had what you gave us from South Hero. We had those numbers for the operating costs.
I'll have to go through my paperwork, but I thought the CIP committee had just kind of thrown 26,000.
Yeah, we put that in the annual budget for the, yes, we have that. Yeah,
But that's the annual budget. That's not.
that's the
CIP.
operating budget. That's
Right.
like, yeah, the CIP, but the CIP committee planned that, yeah. Yeah, because once we're trying to figure out operating costs, once these buildings were built, what it was gonna add to the operating budget, so. Yeah. But the CIP, Claire and I have talked that if we do this 20-year bond and we do it as a level principal, the amount goes down every year instead of a level debt. that we take that extra money and put it to a capital fund so that, because we're gonna need roofs at the same time. If two buildings are built at the same time, right, you're gonna have roofs at the same time, you're gonna have HVAC at the same time, there's gonna be some major expenses at the same time for the two buildings. We take that extra money and start building a kitty, so we have a capital fund for that, to keep it up.
Well, the CIP needs to, that thing needs to be filled and padded and going forward, a little bit here and there is not gonna cut the mustard.
Right, yes. I'm hoping that somebody at Northwest can help us with kind of facility planning for all these buildings. That's the next step in equipment replacement. That's the next step in the CIP committee to really iron all that out. So we have a plan that the truck is being replaced. Any expenses over 10,000 for the town, so all the equipment, the truck is replaced every 7 years or
Fire truck's not till 2030, so I'll be long gone.
long gone.
You'll be living in Key West, right?
Yeah, right.
But yes, that's all good topics and budget for the new buildings.
But it sounds like bottom line, you guys don't want anything to do with the budget.
Well, we're gonna figure, that first year is gonna be,
Unknown. I mean, it's gonna be a guess.
Just remember that there is a full 100% building warranty for the first year. Okay? That's part of what goes into the contract, is that your general contractor owes you, short of there being a fire or damage that, the truck backs through the wall or something like that, that's all different, that's an insurance issue. But the building itself is fully warranted for 1 year. Everything, soup to nuts, every doorknob, if your toilet breaks, you call the general contractor, my toilet broke, come fix it, and he comes and fixes it. So that is part of the whole deal, they have a 12-month warranty. It begins on what they call substantial completion. Substantial completion, this is a good point, I should raise this at this point. We're gonna tell the contractor he needs to have substantial completion by a particular date. And project completion by a date 2 weeks after that, probably Thanksgiving, but there will be work that will have to be done this spring. Because they can't get a lawn in. But part of the responsibility of the contractor, the landscaping contractor, is to get you a real honest to goodness lawn that's there, it's functional. And to do that, they're gonna have to come back in the spring, because you can't do it in the winter. You can't. So there will be some work. It may behoove us that we'll get, if we've had, let's just say we've struggled with the schedule, or it's gotten exceptionally cold early, we may opt to pay there's 4 inches of pavement going down. Goes down in 2 lifts, 2.5 inch and then 4 inch. That's standard in how you do commercial construction. Get 4 inches, 2.5, 1.5. They're actually, they're made slightly differently. We may get to November and the asphalt plants are getting ready to close, which they do sometime in November. And we may decide that, look, we want the base coat only. We want you to come back in the spring and do the finish coat, and then we hold that money. That money's held aside. We don't pay him for that. Same thing with the lawn. There will be some things that won't be completed, and that's how it happens. Could be painting issues, it could be, you have some paint, maybe we have some area like metal door, paint fail on the metal door. They're coming back in the spring, and that's, every contractor is supposed to go back and do items after the fact. That's not the punch list. Punch list is determined, just so you know, the punch list is determined at the point of, the punch list is all the items that are undone or need to be done better. And that is determined by the architect and the owner at substantial completion. Final completion or job completion, occupancy happens sometime after in that follow-on period there. But I'll take everybody through all that stuff when that happens. And Matt will as well. He'll really be at the center of a lot of that.
How'd you do on your agenda building, Marie?
I have maybe budget prep. And then,
We'll have, depending on, we'll see how Tuesday goes, but we may have either not a big agenda, or we may have a, I don't know, agenda that's a bit more robust.
and you'll let me know what that will be. I'm okay with
I'm assuming if it fails and we meet on the 18th, it'll be a select board meeting that you guys join.
Yeah.
So I'll be warning that. Unless, am I wrong?
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'm a second.
Right, one there. Thank you all very much.